Hello guys, my name is Gustavo Siqueira. I work as a software developer at Insoft4, and today I'm going to talk about our customer success story. For today, I'm going to present you guys about our company, our solutions, what software we create, why you choose XJS over the other JavaScript frameworks, and finally, I'm going to talk about how is the front end using XJS in our company. Here at Insoft4, we develop and provide solutions for companies, and we are specialists in softwares that guarantee agility, flexibility, and legal security in people management. We create solutions that follow the growth of the companies with scalability and 360 degrees management. Our company exists for more than 20 years. We started with a time clock management system, and since then we have expanded our solutions for a more differentiated people management. We are always looking for the best of the technology to apply in our solutions, so we can achieve better performance against the high volume of data and also deliver a great user experience. Our head office is in Sapiranga, which is a city in the state of Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil. Over the years, we have gotten clients all over the country, and we also have some clients outside Brazil. Our policy is to valorize our clients and partners, delivering solutions and excellent service to all of them. Last year, we did a satisfaction survey and got 99% approval. Now I'm going to talk about our solutions. Here at Insoft4, we have what we call an ecosystem of solutions, which is composed by all the technology we apply in our developed software and produced equipment, which generates 360 degrees people management. All of our software has local and cloud versions, and we have self-service, information security, and facial identification tools. Explaining a little about each solution, we have a Kitasoft that manages physical access in companies and condominiums. It controls turnstiles, gates, and other entrances. In the system, it's possible to define access rules for people, vehicles, cargo, and objects, with automated blocking and information. Another solution we have is called Insoft4, which is a software for employee time clock management. Here in Brazil, there is a wide legislation regarding the working hours of employees, and our software allows this management with security and legal adequacy. The system has two versions, Enterprise for large companies and the other one called Express for small and medium-sized companies. The Insoft4, integrated with Kitasoft, allows the validation and accuracy of the data that goes to the payroll. Also, we have a mobile version of Insoft4 that allows access for employees to clock in and out and adjustments in their timesheet, that is, in the data that influence the payroll. In addition to employees, we have a software for managing outsourcing called GTsoft. Again, in order to comply with labor legislation and maintain the quality of the service provided, our system controls the documents and training of outsourcing. Finally, we sell, install, and maintain equipment that completes the software, such as turnstiles, gates, door controllers, and time clocks. Far, I have talked about our enterprise solutions that's built for companies with a large amount of employees and visitors. Now, I would like to give more focus to our software called Insoft Express, which was developed to guarantee performance in employee time clock management for small and medium-sized companies, meeting its needs for agility and simplicity in the process, but mainly the legal certainty and legal adequacy necessary for the operation and growth of this type of companies. Used for better management of people and finances, but also to avoid labor lawsuits, problems with legislation, and maintain accurate data on hours worked. Also, this software has only cloud distribution. Now, I'm going to show you guys our history with Ext JS. Back in 2012, Insoft4 decided to migrate their desktop apps to the web. Our research was made to find out frameworks that would help us creating a system with CRUDs in a simple, easy, and quick way. In the search, 4 JavaScript frameworks, including XJS, were tested, and XJS turned out to be the most complete framework for our task. Some of the reasons that made me choose XJS over the other frameworks was browser compatibility, since we have clients that are allowed to use only Internet Explorer. Also, in the early versions of XJS, it already had a wide range of native components. Another thing to mention is the possibility to create our own components for specific scenarios. Additionally, with XJS, we can easily implement functionalities to the system. Finally, the documentation is a big differential because it's complete and helps us on a daily basis. 1 year later, in 2013, our company purchased XJS Enterprise license and started the migration to the web. And after some bugs and tests, an internal framework has been created, named as Insoft4 Ext in which every system that we create could use it as a template for layout and features. Since the creation of Insoft4 Ext and the migration of the desktop solutions, we have already developed more than 850 features and programs, created more than 70 custom components, and overhauled less than 40 classes, which highlights that XJS is in fact a complete framework on its own. Well, about the versions of XJS that we have already used, we started with version 4.2.2, migrating it later to 5.1.1, and then 6.5.2. Last year, we started the migration to version 7.6.0 and changed Sencha CMD to NPM. And also, we use only the classic toolkit. A great thing to mention is that with XJS, we need 71% less work time for creating a basic CRUD compared with other frameworks. This means that over 10 years of using XJS, we have already saved more than 4,000 hours of front-end development. Now I'm going to show you guys some functionalities in our systems. In GTsoft, we have a screen where the user can analyze the documentation of the outsourcing company and employees before allowing them to access the company. In GitsoftFor, for example, we have a screen for vehicle schedule so the employees know when they will be able to use, and also create the schedule for them. Charts are also present in our systems, for example in Gitsoft, with an access peak visualization, where the user can see how much access the company has by hour of the day and day of the week. Now in Insoft4, we have a screen where the employee can access his timesheet and adjust when necessary. This screen has all the functionalities needed by the employee to keep his timesheet organized. Also, the user, which is the employee, can generate reports about his frequency, overtime, worked hours, incidents, and many more, all in the same screen. Now I'm going to use the systems to show a little bit more about how they work. Here in the login page, the user can select the language in which the system will load. Currently, we have only the options for Portuguese and Spanish. The user can also select the theme he wants to see in the system. The options are Classic, Classic Gray, Neptune, or Crispy. After the login, the system will load the dashboard with some shortcuts for the most used screens, and the menu in the left panel will load all the screens available to the user. Each screen has a code, starting with the letters PSW, which means the system we are using, like PSW means Insoft4 Enterprise in the web version. Also, if the user remembers the screen code, he can write it in the input field located in the right top area and clicking the button close to the field to open the screen. So, continuing, each screen may be in full access mode or read-only mode. The full access mode means the user can create, update, delete, or read data. The read-only mode means the user can only see the data without access to create or modify it in any way. The menu in the left area is a tree panel, where each folder is a module in the system. We have modules to manage everything related to the frequency of the employees, for example, employee registration, company registration, and the rules for the time clock management. We also have modules for refactory, transportation, and employee loans. In the refactory module, the user can manage the dining halls in the company, types of meals the company provides to the employees, and the price rules for each one. Also, we have the customization module, where we place the screens that are not available in a commercial way, which means the customer needed the screen for a specific functionality that was not available yet. Also, we have the report generator module, where the user can create new reports for the system as he wants. It is very intuitive to use, and I'm going to show it later with more details. And the last module the system has is the administration area, where it's possible to create new users, user permissions, and configure the system. Now I'm going to access some of the most used screens on a daily basis. The first one is the employee registration, where we keep the management of the employee's data. The employee form is complete. In the same window, we can manage a variety of informations about the employee, like the sectors he works, workload, roles, type of wage, and many more. Also, here is a great example about the usage of a full range of Ext JS components, with date fields, text fields, combo boxes, and other type of containers, including also custom components that we created. Now, another screen I will show is the PSW2560, where the user can do the maintenance of employee time clock. Firstly, we select the month we will be doing the maintenance. We can also use some filters to reduce the context of displayed employees. After fetching the data, we select an employee and then we click in the Edit button. It will open a window with a header that shows which employee we are managing. In this window, it has 4 tabs, each one displaying specific data about the employee time clock. The first one shows us his workload registered over the month. Also, we can see his extra hours worked and occurrences. Finally, each day may show an inconsistency, like an absence for the day, or even more extra hours than the maximum allowed. The second tab shows us the employee workload for the month, where the user can edit it if needed. This tab has a variety of options to keep the time clock management correct. The third tab shows us the extra hours worked, with the options to divide it between the days and also justify it if needed. And for the last tab, we have the occurrences for each day. An occurrence is, for example, an event like an absence in the day, worked hours that exceeded the daily limit, or other occurrence. Some of these occurrences create inconsistency in the employee's time clock that needs to be treated before the month finishes, so his data can be sent to the payroll system. Now I'm going to show how the report generator works. The report generator was created to reduce the amount of time the development team worked creating custom reports for the customers, which allowed the team to work in more important tasks. Here in the report generator, the user can create custom reports as he wants. The first configuration will be the overall data about the report, like its name, category, and description of purpose. Next, the user will configure the page format, like the page dimensions, margins, columns, and font attributes. After the base configuration, the user will select the tables used in the query. After selecting the tables, the user can create the joins of the query. It is also possible to create PL/SQL routines before and after the execution of the report. This is most used in cases where some data needs to be created before the report runs. Then, the user can select which table fields will be displayed in the report and also format these fields, placing the column header name, type of data for conversion, and the column width. Another configuration available is the ordination applied to the query, where the user can select the orientation, like ascending or descending order for the columns shown in the report. Next, we have the filter parameters that will be applied to the query. Here, the user can select a numeric or alphanumeric filter as he needs. After creating the filter parameters, the user will be able to create the filters applied to the query. Here, we have a great amount of options that will help the users to filter the way he wants, with SQL exists clauses, the between clauses, and many more. The report generator also has an option to place reports inside another report, which can make a report even more complete for the user needs. Next, for the security of the report, we can define which profiles of users can access and edit it, keeping the report configuration safe. Finally, after every step configured, we can run the report to see its result. The system I'm going to show is Insoft4 that is used for outsourcing management. After the login, the system will load the dashboard according to the user type. The user type varies between administrator, contractor, and the representative of the outsourcing company. Insoft4 has a great number of modules and screens. We have a module for contractors, where we can create the contractors and work shifts. Also, there is a company module where we register the outsourcing companies, their employees, types of work, and the contracts of services for the contractor. There is a people, vehicles, and material modules where we can manage the documentation needed for each one of them. Also, we have a training module because, depending on the contractor, outsourcing people need to have a training before starting to work in the contractor. Next, we have the extra shifts module, where we can allow outsourcing people to access the contractor in a moment of the day different from its normal access. We also have the report generator module, the administration area, and the integration module, responsible for the configuration that allows the integration of Insoft4 with Akitasoft. And now, I'm going to show some of the most important screens in Insoft4. The first one is the register of the documentation and its association with roles, contractors, contracts of services, and degrees of risk. There is also another options for document association, like type of person, vehicles, and materials, but as it is less used functionalities, they are displayed in other screens. Here in the top area, we insert the document name and options about how it will be validated in other screens. In the bottom area, we will select the context we need, for example, whether it is a role or contractor document. Considering it is a document for the role context, we select the role, the period of date that the document will be required, its periodicity, and whether the document will block access or not if it is invalid. After this inclusion, every person that works in this role will be required to send this document to the company according to the periodicity configured. Now I'm going to show the screen for sending company document. In this screen, the user will see the list of documents that need to be uploaded. By selecting the record and clicking in the first button of the bridge toolbar, we will be able to fill the date of emission of the document and also select the file that represents the document. After selecting the file and clicking the Save button, the document will be uploaded and sent to a validation list in another screen, where the contractor will check if the document is valid. Now I'm going to show the Akitasoft system. The login page is similar to the Insoft4 Enterprise, with only the header changing to the Akitasoft logotype. After the login, the system will load the menu and the dashboard with the screens available to the user. Here in Akita, we have modules for people and vehicle access management, customized screens, the report generator, and the administration area. One of the most used screens is the people registration. In this screen, we insert people data like name, documents, the company he works, contact info, and many more. In this window, we can also register the access badge, the sectors he can enter inside the company, available periods of the day where he can enter the sectors, people responsible for the access, his roles inside the company, and finally, the vehicles that he can use to enter the company. Another important screen Akita has is the vehicle load and unload registration. Some companies has a daily access of trucks that load and unload materials, which needs to be measured for fiscal and tax information. In this registration, we insert the vehicle information, driver info, and material data. After this registration, each load or unload step can be inserted, with the amount of materials changed between the steps. Another important screen Akita has is the Access Monitor, where the security sector can see each person that enters the company, helping to keep it safe and also help if a person has an issue to access the building. First, we select the monitor that will be watched. Then we choose what type of access will be displayed, which can be only valid access, invalid access, or both options. Then we select the amount of last access the equipment had. And finally, we select the refresh rate in seconds, which will keep the screen updated. Now, as you can see, all the equipments registered to the monitor will be displayed in the window, showing the last access following the last ones according to the selection. Also, it's possible to change the configuration, changing the values in the button fields. That will upload the window after clicking in the refresh button. Now I'm going to show the Insoft4 Express and some of its functionalities. After the login, the system shows us the dashboard with some charts. The first one, in the upper left, indicates the amount of employees that have some inconsistency in their timesheets. In this chart, we can see the information about the current month and also the last month. The second chart, in the upper right, shows us how much hours has been worked by the employees, including normal hours, overtime, and occurrences, which includes absences and other events where the employee wasn't able to work. The third chart, in the lower left, shows the current situation of access in the company, on how much employees are working and how much are absent at the moment. Finally, the lower right chart shows some statistics of the company, with how many employees are hired at the moment, how many of them are active, how many are in vacation, and lastly, how much are on leave. In the left area of the system, we can see the menu, where the user can access the programs allowed to him. Each program the user accesses is opened as a new tab in the central tab panel. As you can see, the menu on the left area are divided into panels. The one in the top shows the programs most needed on a daily basis by the users. And if the programs are not present in this list, the user can navigate in the tree menu in the second panel. Also, it shows how many equipments the company has installed and how much concurrent users are online in the system. And this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now we are open to answer your questions.
Okay, you can share your screen and also drive the question and answer. I'm going to do some separated questions according to his presentation, so you can continue driving the question we have on our panelist. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, put them in the question panel there to the right, and we will discuss those now. But first question is, what were the challenges to make the transition from other technologies to XJS?
Well, before XJS, the company built their apps with Oracle farming reports, and one of the challenges, the biggest challenge, was to create code and functionalities that could be used among the systems. Like the report generator that's available in each app we have. So this was the biggest challenge.
Okay. Which pattern do you implement more in your systems, MVC and MVVM? And I guess the ultimate question is, what's the difference?
Okay. At first, we used to create our screens and functionalities using MVC, but after a while, we decided to move to MVVM, which was easier for us during the development of our screens, and also some functionalities. So nowadays, it's like 1/4 of the code and functionalities are on MVC, and the last is MVVM. And also, at first, the MVC was the only option we had at the moment.
And how does the team manage XJS packages over the system?
We use GitLab as our repository system and version management. So we have pipelines that after each commit and push, we have the option to build the package and use it among the systems.
And how much of the Sencha Architect tool do you use in your design?
I was not working the company when we started using XJS, but as I can see in the code, we didn't use Sencha Architect.
Okay. Well, I guess now with the Rapid XJS, you can just import your existing code.
Yes, we use some automation tests. Now we are using Cypress. We are migrating from Selenium.
Okay. See, I think that's it for questions. Yeah, I don't see any more questions coming in. Was there anything you wanted to add, Wimerson?
Yes, while we do not have any questions from our attendees, so I would like to do some question according to his presentation that I guess many people would like to ask something like this. Gustavo, what is your experience using modern toolkit in your application? Are you guys using some only classic toolkit, or you have experience using modern? Could you share your experience, please?
Yes, right now we are only using Classic Toolkit, but we have some projects that that in the future maybe will be required to use the modern toolkit.
Good. One another question: are you guys moving from Sencha command-based application to npm-based application? Can you tell me more about your experience and challenge according to your app's structure? I can see that you have some Sencha command application, right? And it seems that you are now using npm based. Could you share your experience in this transition?
Yes. Before, when we were using Sencha CMD, for example, we needed a local repository for this for the packages, for example, and also another repository in the GitLab. And now with npm, we only have the GitLab side. Like it's easier to maintain the code and the packages, and also run the app and configure the apps.
Awesome. One another question: what backend technology do you use at your application?
For the backend, we are using Rails.
Right. And how do you integrate front-end and backend code? Do you use ExtJS as a single-page application? Do you have some based REST API to work with ExtJS app?
Yes, we use XJS as a single-page application, and right now we have two versions of the systems. One is the XJS is inserted inside GSP pages in Rails, which are single-page applications, and we have now a project to move it to two separate projects. One for the front end, only with XJS code, and other one and the backend code only with Rails.
Awesome.
Which is REST APIs.
Okay, one another interesting thing that I could see in your presentation in your application, I could see that you have customers outside Brazil, right? So how was your experience using localization techniques inside the ExtJS frameworks to translate and localize your application to provide support for foreign people?
Yes, for the localization, we only needed to override some classes applying the Brazilian text, and also we created a package that that manages the localization for the project, for the application. So each component, like a label, input field, anything that has a text will be replaced according to the language the user selected in the login page.
Great. And another question, I could see you have a common component to create reports. You can drag and drop, and also you can create some reports to your application. Was it created as a Sencha command package, and you share it between your different application? This kind of report component you have created?
Yes, it is a Sencha CMD package, and it also has a version for the backend. So the report generator is a module in this a module that can be used among the applications, And if a new application is created, the report generator can be inserted in this new one.
Given that we are talking about Sencha package, are you using some techniques, something like dynamic package loading using Sencha Ext JS in your internal package?
This part of the project, I was not so involved, but I think we are using it.
Oh, good, awesome. Because I can see you have a very, very big application, and it seems to be a very, very good idea to use dynamic package load. So I can believe you are using that. Thanks. And one last question from my side, Jim, before you drive again. So does Sencha Ext JS has all the charts you need to show your dashboard?
Yes. Currently, we did not need a new report, a new chart design. Everything was already inside Ext JS components.
Good. Thanks, Gustavo, for answering all the questions. So the call is yours now, Jim. Thank you.
Absolutely. Actually, there are not more questions going in from the attendees, but anything you wanted to add, Gustavo, or any other comments you wanted to make? Maybe something that you came up that maybe you thought of after the fact?
I would like to thank you for the opportunity to talk here. And that's it.
Yeah. It's always great to hear kind of in the trenches, the story about how you went in and did this, and from your experiences, what you learned and stuff, because there's a lot of things, especially when people have been using, XJS for a while, for example, that maybe they're not aware or forget about some of those things, some of the experiences that you have in a new situation like this. So yeah, so thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
I will encourage everybody to go out. There's a QR code up on the screen. You can go out and give your feedback on this and other sessions, and let us know your how the conference is going for you. And also, you can find the replays and more will be available at the SenchaCon virtual SenchaCon website URL there. Let's see, I have a message. Okay, that's fine. And then I think. Do we have slides for your session shared as well? Okay, the slides for your session should be available in the handouts. If anybody wants to review the slides, they'll be up there shortly. They're not there yet, but they should be available shortly.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So with that, we're almost through the day. Can you guys believe it? It's been a heck of a journey here. It's been a lot of fun. We had a little rough start, but things have been going pretty good so far. Wimerson still has way more hair than I do, so that's good to see. Coming up next is responsive examples with XJS applications with Joshua Hernandez, and we have about 20 minutes, 22 minutes before the next session starts. Trying to think if there's any other logistics. Oh, actually, I do have another poll question. This one's more of an interesting poll question. Let's see. But this is like the real important poll question here. Is Android versus iPhone, what OS is your primary phone? I realize a lot of you may have multiple phones, or maybe it's just me. I have multiple phones, but I do have one main phone. Wimerson, what is your main phone? Is your main phone Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Now, I've been to Brazil a few times, and I know iPhones are really hard to get in Brazil. You have very high import expenses, so I'm surprised that yours is an iPhone, I guess.
Yes.
Why iPhone? Why do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Do you just prefer it? So I've had both iPhone and Android for off and on. I think I had iPhone was my first smartphone, and then I went to Android, and then I was back on iPhone again. And now I'm back in Android camp. I've been in Android for a while. My current phone is the Galaxy Z Fold 4. Yeah, Z Fold 4, that's what it is. That opens up as the, like a book folding. I really, really like that one. It's I use it a lot. I use the ability to open and close it quite a bit. It's very convenient. And rumor is that Apple's working on a foldable as well, so we'll see. All right, I'm going to go ahead and looks like most everybody's going to vote has voted, and we'll see where everybody came out here. And surprisingly, nobody is using the Linux or Windows phones. I wasn't sure there are already some people out there that use some obscure other mobile operating system, but the majority, 64%, are on Android. So it looks like, Wimerson, you were wrong. iPhone's not the right phone. You should switch to Android. No,
it's my
funny.
choice. It works better for me.
Works better for you. Oh, all
Sorry
right.
for that, Jim.
We'll let you keep your iPhone. Yeah, it's great. I love I've used both of them. I think there's pros and cons to both. I do prefer Android, although there's a lot of things about iPhone I do like as well. So always interesting to see where this goes. So, well, we still have, it looks like, about 15 minutes before the next session starts, responsive examples with XJS. And then after the Q&A for that, we will be done for the day, if you can believe it. We've made it through our SenchaCon23, almost through, not quite. One more session, Joshua's session. I don't want to let everybody go. Stick around for Joshua's session. Appreciate your endurance if you've been here all day. I know frequently, at least for me, my brain is full. It's like, I don't know how much more I can learn today, but it's all good. And the replays, a few people have asked about it. The replays will be available up there on the, go back to that slide, up there on the virtual SenchaCon23 page. Replays will be available there later. So do stay tuned. Most likely, if you're like me as well, you'll want to go back and review some things since it won't all stick. But yeah, a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff. And thank you for being part of it. It's for sticking around for virtual SenchaCon 2023. So I'll give you guys a few minutes here before the next session starts, and we'll see you all on the flip side. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.